Let's see. So you're doing great. Let me see a great. If you're doing good, let me see a good. If you're doing amazing, let me see an amazing. Better spirits. I love it. Awesome. Good. Too legit to quit. Let's go, Britt. Great. Yes, Maureen. Maureen's in the house. That's my girl. Wonderful, motivated. All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. So typically, I'm good for a PowerPoint, but I'm definitely on this old Mac computer. My Mac that's only a few months old decided to die last week, but it's getting repaired. So we're here. We're here. So I'm honestly very, very excited about this call. Not just because it's a very important topic, but just to be able to share space with you guys, to be able to connect with people in this capacity, not in terms of like a specific skill set or a specific project, whether it's dance or trading or coaching, but just connecting as people. And one of the things that I'm very, very passionate about is honestly becoming a better person for myself. I think the quality of our lives, especially relationships, really start with the relationship to ourselves. And I think that's the basis for everything, to be completely honest. And in addition to that, I have my best friend and my sister, Tia Rivera. She's joining us in a little bit. She'll be dropping her own gems. I honestly have no idea what she'll be talking about, so I'm definitely going to be taking notes. But I honestly got very encouraged by this topic. I had a whole different layout planned, and I went for a walk, and I was walking, and I was like, talk about this. And I was like, God? I was like, is that you? And I got really excited about it because I think it's more to do with us as people than anybody else. And it's actually one part. This is the first part of a series called Don't Talk to Me That Way. If you know me, I'm definitely from the East Coast, and I'm definitely quick for a chop sometimes. And a little backstory about this topic is these past 2 days, I've been challenged to have conversations with people about certain things that I felt they weren't doing the way they said that they would. And that also showed up to me where I said I would do certain things and I didn't. And the topic is honestly integrity. And integrity is huge, super, super huge. So much so because I think so much so that if we don't address our own integrity, we can't address anybody else's, to be completely honest. We can't demand from others what we don't demand from ourselves. And I think that's why this topic is so important, because integrity, by definition, is a state of being whole and undivided, which is like a very fancy way of me saying it is you doing what you said you would do, basically. You said you would be somewhere at a certain time, you should be there at that time. You said you would be there for this person in this capacity, you should be there for that person in that capacity. And to me, I think at the beginning of this year, we're only a few weeks into January. At the beginning of this year, I think we should go into 2021 and excel in 2021 by understanding that integrity is everything. The integrity for ourselves is everything, because that affects how people relate to us. Integrity with what we say, with what we do. And honestly, what we say is the beginning. Like integrity is our word. Integrity is how we communicate to other people, right? We hear it all the time. Your word is your bond. Literally, your word is your bond. Now, the only thing that people don't realize is that our actions can either make or break those bonds. It's only 3 weeks into January, and there's less people at the gym already. 3 weeks. And it's COVID. Like the gym was already kind of empty. And I remember first week of January, it was at capacity within, COVID regulations. And then less than a month has gone by and the gym is basically empty. It's only been 3 weeks. And that's crazy. That how often do we break our own integrity? How often do we say we're going to do something and then we do the opposite? And I'm not going to focus on this, but it's just coming to my mind is so many of us talk about like the law of attraction and manifestation. And one of the key words in attraction is obviously attract, but there's also the word action in attraction. So if you're saying you want to attract something, but your actions are doing the opposite of what you're saying, those two things are not going to go hand in hand. You can't say you want to be financially fit and then you spend all your money. You can't say you want to be healthy and then you eat junk food every single night. You can't say you want to be in a relationship and you're not working on becoming the person to handle that relationship. You know, you can't say that you're working on these dreams and these goals and that you want to push yourself to your next level when you're chilling. I'm not saying don't chill. I'm not saying don't enjoy the Doritos, because I love me a good old bag of Doritos, the nice canned Coke. But what I am saying is more times than not, your actions should support what you're saying. Your actions should really support what you're saying. And if they're not, to put it really, really simply, your integrity doesn't really exist. It really, really doesn't. And one thing that I want to ask, and I'm going like straight to the point because Tia's going to come on in a little bit, but one thing that I really do want to ask is on a scale of 1 to 10, and feel free to drop this in the chat, but ask yourself this, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank yourself in terms of integrity? Seriously, like where would you rank yourself in terms of integrity? Are you the person that says they're going to be somewhere at a certain time and they're not? Are you the person that has been talking about making this amount of money and they haven't? Are you the person that's talking about a dream and they're not pushing themselves to their fullest potential? Are you the person that is saying A, B, C, and D and still A, B, C, and D isn't in your reality? And that is a very important question that I've been asking myself. And I'm going to put myself on blast because a lot of people are like, oh my God, you work so hard, you do A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, here I am thinking, I'm like, yeah, but I've been out of integrity in so many different areas. And yes, even though commitment is a renewable resource, that's a very valid thing, we cannot keep recommitting because we keep breaking our integrity. We really, really can't. And I want this call, yes, to be like a midweek, like mindset recharge, a midweek, like motivational boost, but also to put things very into perspective, because as I was prepping for this call, I was asking myself so many questions. I was like, if I'm on time or if I'm early, can I do it better? Or if I'm late, why am I late? If I've been doing something and I'm not seeing the results that I say that I want, why am I not seeing them? Because that all has to do with your integrity. Or other questions that I was asking myself or asking other people, like, have you been the person that tells your friend you're gonna do this for them and show up for them, and then you don't? Are you the person that's been talking about your fitness goals for the last 3 years and you still look the same, feel the same, act the same? Are you the person that's been trying to strive in a certain career or field or in an area or in a business, or even in you reading a book that's only like 300 pages and it's been like 4 months and that book is still on your shelf? Like all these little things add up in terms of our integrity. And it's not just one area where you can be like, I'm in integrity. You're either in integrity or you're not. You're either ranking high in integrity or you don't. And I'm a very like black and white person, because the way we do anything is the way we do everything. Meaning some people say like, oh my God, I'm so great in business, but I want a relationship, but they don't make time for the relationship because they're always working. You're out of integrity with yourself. You're out of integrity with what you say that you want. Or some people are saying like, you know what, I'm happy, but I just don't have the money, but I'm happy, but I still want to be better off financially. Something isn't adding up. Either you have to change what you're saying or you have to change what you're doing to have what you're saying. And that's what I wanted to focus on this call, because it's only Wednesday. And kid you not, I'm listening to this 30-day boot camp with a few people on this call, and it's been getting me together every single day. She is like, make no excuses. And I'm like, yes, no excuses. And it is so important to have somebody check you, whether it is a coach or an audio or even like a random YouTube video or even this Zoom call, because I fully believe that we can probably have an amazing 2021 despite what's happening in the world. Last year, 2020, I had a really great year. Really great year. And a lot of the world was struggling. A lot of the world was struggling. And I talked about this on my last call, where I saw people in 2020 get in the best shape of their lives, literally the best shape of their lives, but gyms were closed or were in COVID. People got new jobs in 2020 because they found a way to make it happen. People launched businesses because they were tired of waiting for a paycheck from the government that they never got. People moved, people improved their relationships, and a lot of it has to do with their commitment levels to themselves, to their word, to their bond. And that's why I wanted to ask that very important question is on a scale of 1 to 10, and I'm going to re-ask it because I think it is very important that we also get aware of where we may be doing not as good as we think we are. I was like, I'm making money, but I was like, I'm not financially free. Where I keep saying, I'm like, oh my God, this is the year of financial freedom. Retire my mom. It's been years saying that. I've been making more money, but it's like, okay, Pepz, are you finally gonna do the things you said you would do, the way you said you would do them? Are you finally gonna push yourself to your fullest potential? And that's a very important question. And then this is a second question that may not be as easily answered right away, but I'm gonna ask it anyways, is how often do you push yourself without having to face a consequence? Meaning, how often did you find a way to make more money because you weren't stressing about the money? So for example, some people only make more money when they absolutely have no money in their accounts. Or I've been working with a few people privately in terms of coaching, and they gave me their goals. They were like, I'm gonna do A, B, C, and D by this day. I was like, cool. I was like, we'll do check-ins, we'll see how it goes. Kid you not, 3 people, it was like 4 days before the deadline on the goal that they agreed for themselves. They were drastically behind. And I was like, do you really want to have this goal? And they were like, yes, I'm in, I'll do whatever it takes. And I was like, okay, send me $100 that you'll get back if you complete your goal by the original deadline. If you don't complete it, even if it's a minute late, you're losing your money. They literally pushed themselves to get not only their deadline back, their deadline met, but also their money back. And how often do we wait for a consequence? How often do we address the relationship when it's about to be completely destroyed? How often do we work on our health because we're going through some health condition? How often are we like, oh my God, I gotta get it together because I have no money? How often do we wait till something is gonna be a tragedy before we take action? And that's something that hit me so heavy because I was like, I don't really like to wait. Well, in general, I don't like to wait. But I was like, I don't really want to ever get myself in a position where I'm so at the end of my rope that I have to take action. That need or feeling of having to do something because something is about to implode is a horrible feeling. And if you've been there or are there or can relate, just drop me a 111 in the chat, because I want to make sure that we're all like in alignment and that we're all seeing that we have the fullest potential to do great things, become greater, not because we have to, but because we choose to. And I think it is so important that as we continue, not even just in 2021, but in whatever that we do, that we're not waiting for a repercussion. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's almost like sometimes the universe takes everything from you to like challenge if you really want what you want. And a lot of times I feel like those challenges really come because we're waiting and we're not pushing ourselves. and we're not acting. And I think that's one of the things that I want to talk about is action, 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 action. Because yes, the words that we say are important. I'll get into that next week. The things that we do are more important because ultimately, if you tell me you're going to be somewhere at a certain time and you're not, I can't trust you. I'm like, either they're always late or they're always going to have an excuse. And why am I expecting what they're saying if their actions are showing otherwise? And that is also a good indicator of where we have a lack of integrity. And by that, I mean, if people are giving you the runaround or excuses, or they're like, oh, I'll meet you at 6 p.m. and it's like 6:30, it's like, where are you breaking your integrity? Because honestly, we attract who we are. Whether they're late and you're not, maybe you're the person that can never commit to something. You don't say you'll be somewhere, you're just like, oh, I just won't do it. And I'm gonna go kind of quickly over this last topic, because this last portion of this topic is, why do we break our integrity? And I actually want to see some like participation in the chat. Like, what are some reasons that people break their integrity? Like, just some quick little reasons, doesn't have to be too deep. I want to see some responses. Anxiety, okay. No self-trust, don't feel worthy enough, confidence, low energy. Got it. Self-sabotage, it's a real one. Low frequencies, depression, high work stress. Got it. You know, and it's crazy because I wasn't planning on talking about this in this capacity. And if you work with me closely, you'll kind of know that I'm the person that kind of says things sometimes. But I truly feel there's really like two reasons. Actually, more like one reason, but I'll give you two components of that one reason. The first main reason that I've seen in a lot of people is that they had planned to break their integrity once they agreed to it. There's a person who's a night owl. They have an appointment at 9 a.m. They're like, oh my God, I'm up till 4 in the morning. I'm probably gonna be late. Say something. If you know you're prone to being late, or if you know something isn't gonna work for you from jump, say something. Some people know, they're like, oh, I'll call them later, but I'll probably just call them tomorrow. Just call them when you call them. Don't say you're gonna do something, then not do it. But a lot of people know themselves, especially as we're older, that we know when we're gonna do something and when we're not. That's why when people ask me to do something, I usually always say, let me check before I agree to do something, so that way I don't break my commitment. And that saves me a lot of stress and conversations. That saves me a lot of back and forth. That prevents them from losing their trust in me, and vice versa. I had a conversation with somebody I've been talking to, and I was like, bro, whenever you say you're gonna do this at this time and then you don't, I start losing my trust in you. If you say you're gonna call me later, and by later you mean like later on tonight, and then you don't, or if you're gonna be somewhere at a certain time, then I'm like, I cannot trust what you say, because your actions are counterproductive to what you're saying that you're going to do. And that's one thing. A lot of people know their habits, but they still agree to something that they know they're not going to really do. We'll say, we'll take a job. Work hours are from 9 to 5. And actually, this is my story. It was one of my first like corporate jobs. And prior to this version of Pepz, I was always late. I was always late for everywhere. And I remember I was late for like years, got a new director, and the director was like, one day, he was like, why are you always late? And I was like, oh, I'm like, it's just always been kind of like how it is. It's been lenient, it's been lax. And then he was like, but the schedule is 9 to 5, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, so why are you always late? And I'm like, I live in the Bronx. At the time I was in New York, and my job was in 23rd Street. I was like, I live in the Bronx. I was like, the trains are a mess in the morning. And he was like, so why are you always late? And then I was like, and then I go to rehearsals, and then I dance, and then I'm tired. And he was like, so why are you always late? And I was like, honestly, I feel like I'm late because I need more rest in the mornings. And he was like, say it again. And I was like, I feel like I'm late because I need, he was like, stop right there. He was like, say it one more time. I was like, I feel like I'm late because I need blank. And I was like, I don't get it. He was like, your personal need is trumping the commitment that you made. I was like, whoa. I was like, my personal need is trumping the commitment that I made. And that was heavy because it made me feel really selfish. Like, here I am, salaried employee, meaning if I show up at 9:05, I still get paid from 9 to 5. I would, make it up on my break. But if the agreement was 9 to 5, if the clock says 9 and I'm not there, I broke the agreement. Do things happen where things can get in the way? Absolutely. But more often than not, we break our commitments. And that was crazy to me because when he said, your personal need is trumping your commitments, I was like, interesting. And that's honestly my second point of why many people break their commitments. We choose based off whatever is happening in the moment within ourselves to break our commitments. And there's ways to avoid breaking commitments. So for some people, and this I had to do when I was battling my own anxiety and depression about 8 years ago, where I was like, I can't show up for other people in this state that I need to stop taking more agreements. I was like, less agreements, focus on me, because at the end of the day, like if I agree to do something and I break it, even though I know I'm struggling with something else, or if I'm committed to way more things, but I'm still making those commitments, that is still a choice that I made. That is still a decision that I decided to take. That is still my word being given out and my actions countering that word. And the real main reason why most of us break our commitments is because for whatever reason at the time, we chose something that was more important than that commitment. Whether you're in business and you're like, let me call this person for this business deal, but you get uncomfortable, you get scared and you're like, oh, I'll just do it later. You're choosing you staying comfortable over you choosing that commitment. Or you canceling on a very important date with your partner or your spouse because of work. At that moment, your work became more important. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just it is what it is. Are there things that happen that have to trump certain things? Yes. Like if there's an emergency at your job and you have to be there, you can communicate that and then make a new agreement. But so often we don't make any new agreements. We're just like, oh, it just happened. I don't know. Oh, I'm late because the train broke down. Or there's traffic and I've been living in LA for like 5 years. It's like at some point, certain things stop working and certain people stop trusting you. And that's why it is so important when you make these commitments, these agreements, that you understand that your word is your bond, but your actions can either make or break your bond. And if you find yourself constantly breaking commitments, people are going to stop trusting you. And then you're going to start attracting more people that you can't trust. So if you're breaking your commitments to other people, the first place that you got to look at is yourself, because you break commitments first within yourself and then to other people. One of the cons of breaking your word and your commitments and your integrity is to honestly, like, you lose confidence in yourself. And I'm seeing a few comments, and yes, I'm reading the comments. And for people who are struggling with like anxiety and depression, I offer up that you first and foremost make yourself a priority, deal with that, because I was there 8 years ago where my therapist and my coach, they were like, you can't make any more commitments until you're able to be a better functioning person for you and yourself first and foremost. And once you're able to get better and push through, then you can maybe take on more challenges. Then can you make more commitments? But until you commit to yourself first and deal with that, you're not able, and you shouldn't be able to make more commitments. Because even if you are dealing with those things, like I was, my coach said it very clearly. She was like, that is still a choice that you don't have to make. I was like, wow, it's kind of rough. I'm struggling over here. And she was like, but somebody needs to tell you. She was like, if nobody's telling you honestly, then you actually need better people around you. So if you're gonna keep breaking your word and your commitment because of whatever's happening in with you, that is a choice that you made at the end of the day. And instead of justifying what happened as to why you break your commitments, like I was late because I needed rest. Ask yourself this: how do I break my commitments and how do I justify it? I didn't go to rehearsals because I was tired. I didn't pay my bills on time because I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money because I lost my job. I didn't go to the gym because the gym was full. I didn't get in shape because of COVID. Meanwhile, in 2020, people found ways to get in shape from home. People launched businesses from home in 2020. People found ways to meet their goals because they honestly developed a commitment to their word that was so high that no matter what was happening in the world, they were like, either I do or I die or I keep trying till I get closer. You may not get the results that you want, but if you push yourself to fight for your commitments, you'll be much more further ahead in life in every area than if you just take the easier route of saying, this happened, so I couldn't do this. Does life happen? Absolutely. When my grandfather died in 2018, I was his power of attorney. So when he passed, I was legally responsible to do everything. And I couldn't. I was not in the headspace. So what I did, I asked for support. Called my mom, called my aunts. I was like, if you guys can take over for me, because I can't do it. I was like, I'll give you guys the legal rights to do whatever you guys need to do, because I know I just physically and mentally can't do it. And I had a responsibility, not only just for him, but to myself, to me being real and honest, where I could have fallen short of a commitment. Did I physically execute everything in that manner, in that matter? No, but I met my responsibility because I was able to find some people to actually assist me. So if you're struggling, whether it's in business or in your fitness or in your finances or even in your business or with your mental health, like one of the best ways to get ahead and restore yourself to your word is by asking for support. And before I pass it over to Tia, I'm going to give you guys 3 quick little things to actually help you maintain your integrity. Number 1, and please write this down. If you're asked to do something and you don't know for sure if you can do it, take a second and say, let me get back to you. Let me take a second. Let me take a breather. Let me look at my other commitments, check my schedule, and then let me give you an actual thorough answer. I don't know why so many people respond so quickly. Where I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, it's a big commitment. And then they can't make the commitment, but they still made the decision to do so. So number 1, take a second, step back, assess, and then decide. Number 2, if you feel like you can't do something, then just say no. Or just don't say you're gonna do something if you feel like you can't do it. Going back to that person, I'm like, instead of telling me you're gonna call me later, just call me when you have a time. Because I'm expecting you to say what you're going to do, and then when you don't do it, then we have an issue. Surprise me. So you feel like you can't do something or you're unsure, don't say you're gonna do it, but maybe surprise the person by doing it. Unless you're not supposed to do something, then don't do it, but you know what I mean. And then lastly, And then I'm going to pass it over to Tia. Lastly, raise the bar. Not for other people, but for you. Challenge yourself to be more committed. Challenge yourself to wake up on time. Challenge yourself to show up on time. Challenge yourself to develop the skill set. Challenge yourself to actually do the things you said you would do by doing them. Even if you fall short, because we all do. I do. But if you're challenging yourself and you're continuously raising the bar here and here and here and here, what that is going to do is build up your self-confidence, build up your results, and then attract other people in your life who are of that caliber. And then the people around you are either going to level up or they're going to fall off. It's no love lost, but ultimately, your biggest commitment, your integrity has to be within yourself. And it has to start within yourself. You can't expect and demand from others where you're not demanding from yourself. You really, really can't. You can't expect to live the wealthy lifestyle that you want if you're not challenging yourself in your finances. You can't expect to be a bigger and better person if you're not becoming a bigger and better person, taking bigger and better decisions and actions. So going back to just the very, very beginning, the purpose of today's first call is challenging your integrity and like really like asking yourself, going back to the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I with my integrity? Kid you not. A lot of people think, they're like, oh, it's a 10. Meanwhile, you're always late. Oh, it's 9. But you're breaking your financial responsibilities of paying your bills late. That's integrity. That's literally integrity. Your bills with a due date has a very clear like deadline and guideline that you agreed to do to pay for before you even paid for it. That's integrity. You setting these New Year's resolutions for the year, and then it's March, you're breaking your integrity. So really, like at the end of this call, and I'm gonna pass it over to Tia in 1 second, like at the end of this call, I really want you guys to take a second and really ask yourself, like, am I really at a 10? Am I really at a 7? It's not a good thing or a bad thing. If you're at a 4, it's like, okay, that's feedback. I can and should get better. So like really look at it as an opportunity for all of us to get better. Now, really, really quickly, I'm gonna pass it over to Tia. But before I do so, I just wanna take a second to acknowledge everybody and also to properly introduce Tia. She is my best friend and my sister. We got started, or our relationship started via business. And from that, I learned so much from her as an artist, as a business person, as just a person in general. She's somebody that completely like changed my life because she's a person that has so much power and is so insightful and is so dedicated. And if you think I'm a tough coach, Tia is probably like there. And she does it not because she's powerful, but because she cares. And she was so gracious enough to spend some of her time with us on this call. So Tia, if you can unmute yourselves and take the floor.
What's going on, family? How are you guys? Thank you, Peps, for having me. You know I love you down. Friendship before anything. Peps is one of my very best friends. Who, fun fact, was not a fan of me when he first met me. But yeah, man, like it's crazy. I love the way that this business. I know a lot of you guys are a part of the business. Some of you are not, but I love how this business just brings people together. I've literally met some of my best friends in this business, and I've literally been able to create life. Um, so she said we match. We're on the same wave, we're on the same frequency. But I've literally been able to meet some of my closest friends on this journey. So I'm super, super grateful. Honestly, like I came on probably like 10, 15 minutes ago and just hearing Pep's talk. I don't really need to say, I don't really need to say much else. I think you kind of covered all grounds, to be honest. Oh my gosh. But I will speak to you guys, obviously. I know that and then Peps, I told you that I was gonna go off of you. So I don't know if there's something in specific that you want me to talk about. I always have something to say. So let me know, because I don't want to gear too far off track if there's like a common goal for this specific call. Um,
Honestly, I trust you with anything you want to say. So whatever you feel, go for it.
Okay, great. Well, it's interesting because even hearing you talk about, everything that you've been saying right now about commitment and keeping your word, I literally just did a call probably about 2 hours ago for another person in our business, who asked me to extend my experience and my knowledge to his team. And literally hearing you talk, I'm like, wow, we're the same person, because I trained on the same exact thing. But I want to like reading some of you guys' comments as Peps was talking. I want to talk to you guys from a place of just clarity, like clarity of purpose. Peps, I just want to make sure you didn't cover that, so that they're not like, girl, he just spoke about that. Okay. I want to talk to you guys from a place of clarity of purpose, because, saying things like I'm struggling, or I'm defeated, or I'm depressed, I want you to understand first and foremost how powerful words are. Words are very powerful. Now, I am not saying to not acknowledge where you are. I think that it is very important to know where you are, but also it is very important to know that what you feed will grow, right? I know that my words have power. I know that my thoughts have power. Literally, like our thoughts become how we feel, or how we feel becomes how we like approach people, right? Our attitude in the world. It becomes what we say. What we say becomes what people think about us. And then in long term, it kind of dictates our whole reality. And it all starts here. And I think that sometimes when we move mentally from a space that isn't positive, that's negative, it's because we're unclear of a few things. Purpose overall, but unclear of a few things. One, who you are and how worthy you are of the life that you want. That's major. I don't think that people understand that you were literally designed perfectly, not to get all spiritual, but by a perfect God. Like you literally have everything you need inside of you right now. Those of you on this call, I see some of you guys, you feel defeated, you feel like you're not sure, you don't know how to do it. I promise you that you have every single thing, every resource that you need inside of you right now. And if you don't physically have it, you know someone who does, which goes to Peps's point of asking for support. I didn't become this version of myself by just one day waking up and becoming her. I had to dig deep inside myself and realize, one, that I was worthy of every good thing in this world. So let's start there. Get clear that you are literally worthy of every good thing in this world. I promise you that you will never operate from the frequency that is needed to reach your goals, to reach your next level, if you do not operate from the place of I am worthy of every good thing in this world. So that's first and foremost. Get clear on that. Believe that. Me and Peps practice personal development a lot together and separately, but we have learned through the work that we have done that limiting beliefs literally keep people where they are. It's not the fact that you don't know the right people, that you're not skilled enough. It's here. Wealth, your career, your relationship that you want, everything starts in the mind. And sometimes people think that that's hocus pocus. So let's also start there by eliminating that factor, right? Like, oh, well, my thoughts, personal development. Like you're already selling yourself short by feeling that there's no place to grow from, or there's nothing to learn. So I offer up that you remove that factor, but really get clear on what your limiting beliefs are. Because I promise you that every single person on this call has a limiting belief that you are either working through, working past, that you've already worked through, that you're trying to make sure you don't retreat back to, right? But we all have something about the way that we were raised and the way that we were programmed for so long of our lives that kind of holds us captive in our mind. So get clear on what that is, because sometimes we're operating from a space that is not even us. Subconsciously, we're operating from how our mom approached money, how we saw our parents love. We're operating from a space that is not our own, and we're not even in awareness of it. So when I say get clear, another word that I want to use is become more aware. Because you could only really step into your next level when you're fully aware of where you are, how you got here. I realized when I first started my journey with personal development, ooh, I have some limiting beliefs around trust. I have some limiting beliefs around money. These are things that I realized before I was able to make six figures, before I was able to have a happy, fruitful relationship. And if I didn't come into awareness of it and then choose to change it, to break those limiting beliefs, I would still be in the same place. Right? So one, knowing is not enough. But let's start there. Because most people don't even want to come into the know. Because now that you know, you actually have to do something. I say all the time, it's almost better to not know than to know and not do. Do you know how many people know and not do? If you could be honest, some of you guys are like, girl, you preaching to my soul right now because I know. You know exactly what it is that you need to be doing. Why are you not doing? It might just be those limiting beliefs and those programs are so hardwired. You are not operating day to day. Your beliefs are operating for you day to day. The way that you approach opportunity. How many of you guys, time after time, say, no, that may not be for me. That relationship may not be for me. You're so closed. That may not be you. That may be your parents. I'll tell you right now, the minute I decided to become an entrepreneur at 22 and start my first business, which was network marketing, my parents were like, ay, mija, those things don't work. And I grew up in a household where that wasn't real. That was considered a pyramid scheme. That was considered this or that. And I realized that those thoughts and those programs were not my own. They were my parents, right? How I was raised to look at money. I wasn't raised to thrive. I was raised to survive. Hello, somebody. I was raised to my parents made enough money to pay the bills and get some food, and that's it. Okay. I got clothes when the new school year approached, and that's it. Like I wasn't raised to design my life. But does that mean that when I came into my adulthood that I had to continue to live that way? No. And this is where I feel like us as adults need to take responsibility, right? Because just because we were raised a certain kind of way doesn't mean that we need to continue that legacy of programs that don't honestly serve us or are not going to serve our kids or are not going to serve the next version of ourselves or our careers or the relationship that we want. So I realized a few things. One, I got clear. I came into awareness. All right, Tia, this is where you're operating from, but this is not you. This is just all you know. So now let me get clear on what it is I need to do to change that. Right? I got clear on where I was. I knew where I wanted to be. I got clear on what it is that I wanted. I wanted financial freedom. I wanted time freedom. I wanted to be able to pursue something that I love, the passion. I'm the first person in my family to actually pursue a dream. Dance? Ha. Like my parents thought it was going to be a hobby. Straight up. But again, Tia, those are not your programs. Just because everyone else in your family just grew up and went to high school and college and worked a traditional job doesn't mean that you have to. So I got clear and aware where I was, where I wanted to be. But what bridged the gap, family, was me taking the responsibility and taking myself on, which is the hardest part. I'm going to be honest. Me taking myself on and taking the responsibility to change. Now, sometimes people are like, well, how? How do I change all these programs, all these beliefs, all these? It starts with the internal work, right? It starts with the heart work. So a place that I would say to look at is notice when you're falling victim to your circumstances. Notice when you're falling victim to, oh, well, this is just the way that I was raised. Or notice the next time you say, this is just the way that I am. And these are things that I'm saying because 99% of the world say these things and operate from this place and don't realize that you're literally keeping your mind in a prison. When you argue with someone or you probably don't see eye to eye or you may be, responding a certain type of way, and you say, well, this is just the way that I am. That is such a cop out to your next level as a person. I want you to know that. If someone's like, oh, I feel like you're being impatient, and you're like, I know, this is just the way that I am. If it's a good quality, then that's different. But if you know if it's a bad quality, don't say that's just the way that I am. You're literally blocking your next level by doing that. So I realized that in order for things to change for me, who had to change? I had to change. I started reading books. First book I picked up in my 20s that opened my eyes up to how I view money and the world differently was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And not only did I read the book, but I applied it. He spoke a lot about entrepreneurism and living in the 21st century and having your money work for you. So, again, I want you to take this note too. Like, knowledge is not power, because you can go online and, read all these books, listen to all these audios, and have all of this information. Remember, I said to know and not do, you might as well not know at all. Applied knowledge is power. So don't just read the book, highlight, apply. I read the book and I said, wow, okay, I don't have my money working for me. It's fine. I was raised the poor dad way. It's fine. I was raised thinking, he talks about the difference in your communication, right? This goes back to how powerful your words are. I can't afford it versus how can I afford it? See how that thought process is very different? I grew up in a household that in stores, God forbid I touch something, oh, we can't afford it. I wouldn't even think to ask, oh, I can't afford it. How many of you, if you could be honest, sometimes you walk into a store today in your adult life and you look at the price tag and you're like, oh, I can't afford it. That's automatically your number one thought. That is a poverty mentality, whether it's in your bank account or not. I'm letting you know right now. If you walk into Louis Vuitton, it may very well be a fact that you can't afford the shirt in the physical realm. But when you mentally operate from, oh, I can't afford it, you're blocking yourself from creating ways for you to grow wealth, as opposed to thinking, and for the things that you want, because you may not want a Louis Vuitton shirt, but for whatever it is that you want that may cost more than what you have, operating from the mindset of, how can I afford it? When I look at my dream homes, I'm not like, no, I don't have that money. Okay, Tia, how can you afford it? That allows me to be more open-minded to business, to investing, to opportunities that come my way. Most people are so closed-minded and stay where they are for their whole life because they operate mentally from like the same like cues always. That's just how things are. You find yourself in the same cycle. You make money, you lose it. You make money, you lose it. Nothing is changing, right? So, like I said, you have to think to yourself, like, one, feed your mind, because that is where the change is going to start. For a long period of our time, consciously and subconsciously, we've been fed by our parents, by the school system, by all these external factors on how we should view life and how we should view opportunity and how we should view relationships and money. I didn't grow up with a picture perfect marriage to model. My parents separated when I was 2 years old. I watched my mom be in multiple relationships. I didn't build a relationship with my dad until I was a teenager. I could have felt victim of, well, I have daddy problems and I don't know what a successful relationship looks like, but I chose to not fall victim, right? So educate yourself on, one, obviously, like I said, get clear on where you are, educate yourself and get clear on where you want to be, and fill in that gap with information that you can actually apply. Like I said, I started reading books. Then the books led to me saying yes to a business that I didn't know was going to work or not. It very much could have been a scam and could have took my $300 at the time. But at least I was open to trying something different. No one in my family ever tried anything different. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work out. Take that mindset with you, because that has served me in so many areas of my life. When I moved from New York to LA to pursue a career that I didn't know was going to necessarily work out, I left everything I knew in New York. My family, my friends. I moved to LA with $5,000 in my pocket and I thought I was doing something. I was like, oh, I have enough money. No. After first month's rent, last month's rent, a few little things for furniture, I don't know where I thought I was buying a car. I bought a strong bicycle from Walmart. Okay, for my whole first year, I was riding my bicycle to dance class. But like literally, because I've always operated, at least since I started personal development, from the mindset of, well, the worst that could happen is that it doesn't work out. It allowed me to step into so many blessings because I feared forward. And I want you to notice what I'm saying. I feared forward. I'm not saying that it was always easy or that I was always like crystal clear or I was always sure, because I wasn't all the time. I want you to know that. When I moved to LA, I didn't know if it was going to work out or not. To be honest, I was still very new in my career as a dancer. And yes, I was working in New York, but LA is a whole nother ballgame. I said, what's the word? The worst that can happen is that I have to move back home. But at least I'm going to give myself a shot. When I decided to start network marketing, the worst that could happen is that I don't know what I'm doing. I could just, said I tried. When I decided to start day trading and learn trading, the worst that could happen is that I'm just really don't get it. And then at least I can say I tried, right? Like, too often people go through their life living with this like what if mindset. I talk about this all the time. And I want you guys to take this, because this mindset that I've adopted has served me not just in business, but in every area of my life. When it came to me going from the person that I was to the person that I am, I rather say, oh, well, than what if. Oh, well, gave it a shot. Oh, well, wrote the book. No one bought it. Oh, well, tried this. Like, oh, well, then what if? What if that business that I was introduced to, fun fact, I'm a part of an investment group that I was literally introduced to probably like 5 years ago. And I didn't say yes when I was first introduced. Such a bummer. I'm a partner. I'm doing it now, but I had that little conversation with myself too. Like, what if I would have gotten started 2 years earlier? How much further along would I be with my goals? Don't be the what if person in December of 2021. What if I would have actually took a chance on myself in 2021? What if I stopped falling victim to my circumstance? What if I left my pity party and owned up to the fact that no one is coming to save me? And I say that from the most sincere part of my heart, because I am very well aware that depression is a real thing, anxiety is a real thing. I'm very well aware that all of these things are real and that we have mental and emotional battles. But you have to pick yourself up. Trust me, I've been there. I've been through some things as a kid, as a teenager, with my family being evicted, parents doing crazy things. Like, I've been there. What saved me, what was my saving grace besides God, amen, is leaving my pity party and realizing, Tia, if you want to change your life, guess who is responsible for that? You are. No one is coming to save you. No one cares about your bank account more than you do. No one cares about the next level of your career and your creative vision than you do. No one. It's like we expect other people to show up to our party, but we're not showing up to our party. How dare you? I realize every day I wake up and I go after my goals and my dreams, because I can't expect for people to believe in what I want to accomplish for myself more than I do. Straight up. And even if that may be difficult, even if that may be hard, I offer up that you move in spite of, that you fail forward, that you fear forward. It's not always going to be easy. And at every level and stage, I keep on bringing up this word of awareness and clarity, because every next level of my life, I was aware that I arrived. I was aware that I took a step. And then I realized on this new level, I had some other things that I had to uncover and work through, right? Don't think that when you get to your next level, everything's going to be all fine and dandy. My mentors always say, with every new level comes a new devil. There's always going to be some type of adversity that you are going to have to face. That is going to help you, though, become the next best version of yourself. So just press into that. Press into that. Get clear on your purpose. Get clear on where you are so you know what your starting point is. Get clear on where you want to go. And if you don't know how to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to go, I'm pretty sure you know someone. And if you don't know someone, you know someone who knows someone who can offer up some support. And then just be willing to fill in the gap by doing the work. And I'm going to leave you guys with that.
Whoo! Tia Rivera. Guys, that is my best friend. And I'm not going to make this drawn out any further. But thank you so much for hopping on this call. I think that everything that Tia mentioned is going to set you guys up, not even just for the rest of this week, but honestly, the rest of this month, the rest of this year. That concept, that mentality of, oh, well, versus what if, and kind of the no BS attitude, like letting go of that pity party, the excuses, the justifications, and honoring yourself with your word and your actions is the most important thing that we can all do. But I'm going to end the call right now. I encourage you all to take maybe a few minutes after to just reflect on where you're at and where you want to go. And I will see you guys next Wednesday, same time, same link. And if you guys need any support or questions, you can hit me up. I'll offer up Tia as well. Head her up on Instagram. And guys, again, thank you so much. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, guys.